Hello everyone, my name is Molly Walker, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my personal competency development plan. The organization I chose is the Association for Educational Communications and Technology, otherwise called the AECT. Basically, this organization is a group of professionals that provide leadership in the area of educational technology, and they just aim to sustain efforts of enriching teaching and learning all over the world and just keeping education a positive thing. There are 5 standards for this organization, and they are content knowledge, content pedagogy, learning environments, professional knowledge and skills, and research. There are 6 main competencies that represent this organization, which include leadership, networking, presenting, professional development, publishing, and reference library. I feel like each of these relate to the education field and can help people with the career goal of being a teacher make their skills stronger. Networking really stood out to me because I think it's important to build relationships with your colleagues and people in school systems and offices of school systems, just so you have that community at your workplace. I also think professional development is super important, and having those professional development days to just remind teachers of what their job is and what they're meant to do is just important to keep everything running smoothly. This organization is relevant to my career goals because, like I said on the last slide, it includes competencies that I think are very important when it comes to being an educator. And being an educator means being a leader of the classroom. Without having that leadership skill, how will you lead your classroom? What will that classroom dynamic look like compared to other classrooms that have established leadership? When I become a teacher, I just would love to make relationships with those around me and be that leader to other people. Some strengths that I myself already have are communication, awareness, responsibility, collaboration, and adaptability. When choosing my top competencies, I went with these because I feel like these are things I have done my whole life. Communication developed just through active listening and organizing my thoughts prior to conversation. Awareness developed by practicing that self-reflection and always seeking feedback from others and being open to constructive criticism. That responsibility, I've always held myself accountable and always followed through with commitments I've made. It just teaches you that responsibility. Collaboration, I love working with other people around me and listening to diverse perspectives. And lastly, being adaptable, forcing myself out of my comfort zone and viewing change as a normal thing and a normal way to grow as a person. Some areas I think I could grow in involve active listening, classroom management, and flexibility. I'm actively working on these competencies every day, and I just kind of think about how every student is going to have different needs. So having that active listening on all the time is so important because we have to understand each student's needs for how they are and their differences. Also, the educational landscape is changing all day, every day, and it's important to be a flexible teacher to allow myself and my students to effectively problem solve and face those challenges. I made a small timelined plan for steps of action, which involves 4 months, each month focused on something different. Month 1, active listening, nonverbal cues, establishing those classroom management routines right off the bat. Month 2 would just be building those positive reinforcement systems and giving students that voice and choice on certain things. Month 3, you could maintain an active listening journal, making sure you jot down things that you hear, things that you need to change, and collect student feedback. How do they feel about class? How do they feel about what's going on and how their learning process is going. And then that last month, you would just kind of reflect what worked, what hasn't been working, what works a little bit but might need some change, and you can just rotate in new classroom management practices and see kind of if different things work better for your students than others, just to be open and make that change, because change is good. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you learned more about competencies and the AECT organization, and I hope you guys have a great day.